All right, let's rock and roll. Hi everyone. Welcome. Thanks for coming to meditate with me. It's good to
Thank
see
you
you
for
all. Feel
making
free to say
time
hi
for
in the
us.
chat if you like. And today's class, whenever you are, is on working on releasing overthinking. Especially during the holidays. There's so much to think about. So many things to order on Amazon. So many people to dislike. And all morning thinking about the people I dislike. I got a few jokes to start us off. So, first one, let's see, where is it? Got it. A pessimist's blood type is always B negative. I like that. A pessimist's blood type is always B negative. That's good. It's a good bridge from what I was just talking about. Next joke, whoever invented knock knock jokes should get a Nobel Prize. Should get a Nobel Prize.
I
Yeah,
don't get it.
that's okay.
No, no.
A dog gave birth to puppies in the park and was cited for littering. Okay, cute. We got a math joke coming up. Parallel lines have so much in common. It's a shame they'll never meet. Pretty good. If you're a math teacher out there, I hope you like that one. Reminds me of the other joke. You know what the one math book said to the other? Boy, you think you have problems? All right. Last joke, and then we're going to get into it. Living on Earth might be expensive, but at least you get a free trip around the sun every year. A lot of cosmic miles. I'll take it. That's a good one. I like that one. All right. On that note, let's get rolling. Quick announcement. Last week, I did an open house for the 2023 teacher training, meditation teacher training certification that I'm going to do. And if you didn't get the recording, I'll try to send it to everybody. I'll probably do one more in January. So if you want to do what I do and teach meditation, if you're like, I'm tired of listening to David, I'll do this myself. Then, come for the ride. All right, I'm going to meet everybody so don't forget. Yeah, Donna seems to be challenged with overthinking when you meditate. I think that goes for 100% of us. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. Right? Oh my Lord, if I looked in each of your heads, what I would find. Don't want to look. Thank you. Uh, there's this great quote I read from Einstein the other day that I wanted to share with you all. It's stay away from negative people. They have a problem for every solution. That's great. Stay away from negative people. They have a problem for every solution. I've experienced that as a meditation teacher where I've been teaching a class and someone's like, David, I can't seem to find, my answer around this issue. And then maybe I'll come back with, well, why don't we start to have you focus on the confusion that you feel? Yeah, but I can't figure out the confusion, David. Cool. Well, why don't we take a look at the energy of you always needing to figure everything out? Well, I can't figure out, David, why I always need to always try to figure everything out. And my sense is we're getting somewhere sometimes with that. But for some folks, instead of really sensing, seeing, or feeling energy, they just continue to think about it. And trying to make a change by just thinking about things is like trying to wipe something off your face in the mirror, right? You're not actually getting anywhere by just thinking about something. That's why when some people go to therapy, I mean, there's some therapy that's amazing, life-changing, and healing. And then there's some therapy where someone just goes in circles in their story and the person listens, and maybe not much shifts. They just analyze and think and don't actually get into the energy of what they're working on and feel what it is that they need to feel. Often, students of mine will um, do anything they can to avoid just feeling the feelings. I'll write a book about my life. I'll do anything. Just don't, I don't want to feel the feelings. But it isn't until we feel the feelings that's when the energy usually comes out and we have a deeper understanding of it. And I think what a lot of folks miss is that usually when we're feeling something intensely and meditating on it, it's already on its way out. That's it coming out. You're feeling it coming out. But what can happen to the meditator is they don't realize the energy's coming out. They feel it, and then they try to start analyzing it and fixing it, holding on to it, start holding on to it, manipulating it, and they don't just let the energy come out. So if you're in meditation today with me or any other time and you start feeling things coming up, let them just come up and come out. You don't have to figure out everything that you feel. Sometimes it's just like a layer coming off, it's just some energy that sheds off of you. So let that happen if it wants to happen. Um, there was one other quote I wanted to share with you all from Carl Jung. I love this one so much. He says, until the unconscious is made conscious, it will control your life and you'll call it fate." Ooh, I'll read that one again. Until the unconscious is made conscious, it'll control your life and you'll call it fate. Um, I often see these, and I have a degree in philosophy, so I watch a lot of videos like this, but I've seen a lot of videos and debates on free will. And there's always this black and white debate of we have free will or we don't have free will. We're either just programmed genetically from birth, our society programs us, we have no free will, or we do have some free will. And for me, it's always been this paradoxical. It's like we live in a world that seems determined, and yet somehow in this determined dream, there are moments where we have free will. So maybe we don't always have free will. Maybe a lot of our behavior comes from our programming and our genetics and our environment, but there are these moments, these big decisions where we really can tap into something deeper in our soul and find that free will. I think there are some folks, they do more of that and some less. I think free will is a degree that is correlated to how much our consciousness has awakened. So if somebody's walking around asleep and just programmed by life around them, their external circumstances and or their genetics, for example, then maybe they have no free will. And if somebody awakens to who they are and they're really aware and conscious, maybe they have a higher degree of free will. So for me, free will has always been something that's by degree relative to our awakening and our ability to recognize our own programming and start to overcome it if we want to. And free will, yeah, it's a kind of freedom. And you could do the same with astrology. You could do it with biology and you could do it with astrology. So if someone says, well, you're a Capricorn or a Sagittarius or whatever, these are your planets, this is how life's going to go for you. I think it's the same kind of thing. It's an opportunity to go, well, life can go for me like that, or I can bring awareness to my unconsciousness, consciousness to my unconsciousness. I could work through those deep patterns and levels of pain that are inside of me that I'm not aware of that cause me to create certain scenarios in life and take certain paths. I could work that out and then I could bring it almost to the surface of my awareness and have more free will. And I could defeat my planets. I could defeat the gravity of the planets that pull me, right? So a planet has gravity, stars have gravity, we have gravity, our own lives have gravity. We pull certain people towards us, right? We pull energy towards us, scenarios towards us. We might call that manifesting. Other people might call it being cursed. I just keep pulling all these shitheads into my life, David. What kind of planet am I? Am I Uranus? Yeah, you are. Now go take a hike. And so we attract, obviously we attract what our energy is giving out, right? We attract more of that. And some people have a really strong gravitational pull. and others less so. I don't know why I wanted to mention all that. Uh, how does that relate to overthinking, David? So I wanted to ask everyone here a question, which is, are in your own life, are you building the pattern of overthinking, or are you building a pattern of not thinking, the habit, let's say? Are you building a habit of overthinking and excessive thinking, or are you building a habit of not thinking? Which one do you put more energy into? Which fire do you throw more wood on? Yeah, everyone's writing overthinking. Hmm. I know. And so if, for example, we're having an endless succession of thoughts that maybe come from the outside world, come from fear, come from negativity, come from unconsciousness, and then we make decisions based on those thoughts, I don't know how much free will we actually have, right? We might just be getting dragged around by the world. It seems like all the thoughts we're having are ours, but they're just kind of infiltrating our space from the world and they're dragging us around, right? Every single person's writing overthinking. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Except Melissa, you wrote not thinking, but overthinking is ramped up during the holidays. Yeah, that happens. That happens. So how do we deal with this? That's what we're going to do today in meditation. But I specifically want to focus on this on a couple kinds of overthinking that are the most common. I can't do everything in one class. I should probably do like a 10-part series for this thing. Maybe I will at some point. But one of the most common forms of overthinking is a reaction to what we might call survival energy. So as human beings, for eons, our brains have developed to help us survive and problem solve. So we're always looking for problems to solve. We're always looking for danger to avoid. That's how we've evolved. It used to be running away from an animal, finding shelter, right? Finding food. Everything in our being was about survival. And then when we started to have food and shelter, heat in our homes, a level of safety, obviously everyone's here on Zoom, so you have a level of comfort and safety. Then the problems maybe shifted more into I need more money for more stuff, emotional problems, mental problems, right? But deep inside of us there's still this fear and energy of survival. Like I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I need to control the situation. I need more money. I need to protect my family, right? There's always this. Anyone experience this survival energy is kicking on, and then you just go into the hamster wheel, right? You just start thinking about the future and how you need to solve every problem. We have some problem solving pros in here. Can we get some tattoos? Problem solving professional overthinker. Yeah, yeah. Every day, constantly. Amen. Should I do that Tony Robbins thing? Say I if you overthink. I. So I want to focus on that one as much as we can today. If you have a different kind of energy that goes into overthinking and that comes up for you, sure, do that. But I just want to at least use this survival energy as a clear example of how we go from like an unconscious biological sense that almost like, when a bubble rises to the surface of the water, and then it's like you can see it, half of the bubble is above water and part of it is below water. So it's like deep in our body, in our cells, we feel this survival, and then the bubble rises up into the mind and that projects into a thought. We see that thought in our mind's eye. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough heat. I don't have enough home. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough space. It's often I don't have enough of something, or I can't control something, right? And we start projecting into the future and it completely takes over. So this amazing ability to solve problems and to help create a future, these beautiful minds that we have that built rocket ships and medicines and electric cars and the internet, this beautiful function that we have that's built our whole world, it turns on us when we don't control it and manage it well, and it starts to destroy us from the inside out. And I think you take somebody like a genius person like an Elon Musk is like a perfect example, right? Like amazing ability, builds electric cars and rocket ships and go on and on, tunnels and all sorts of things. And then he turns into like a Twitter tyrant, you know, and you're like, what are you doing with your time all of a sudden? All right. And he can't control his mind or his ego. And so the same tool that made him so successful starts destroying him from the inside out. And to varying degrees, that happens to everyone. So if you're somebody that's kick ass at work and you're just like or you get A pluses at school all the time, but then you go home and then the thing just turns on you and you're not in control. It just now wants to solve you, right? I'm the problem now because I'm not at work. There's no one else in the room. It's just me. Now I'm the problem. Yeah, I'm not good enough here. I'm not good enough there. I'm not good enough anywhere. That's a poem I just wrote for you. Yeah. And then we start to eat ourselves from the inside out. I need to make myself better. Who am I? Why am I not good enough? Why isn't my life working out? And that problem solving thing that comes from survival just turns on us. Sounds like a holiday horror movie in here tonight. Yeah. I start overthinking when I experience feelings of scarcity. The overthinking is a desperate attempt to find the certainty in uncertainty. Yeah. Great awareness, Emily. Absolutely. Yeah. Really good awareness. And so let's see if we could become aware of that energy where we kind of turn that tool, that function of the mind on ourselves. We try to fix ourselves and we're in that kind of survival in some shape or form. And all the great masters always tell us everything is fine, everything's okay, everything is one, everything is perfect. And there's this deep stillness inside. And you go to close your eyes, you're like, all right, I got a David meditation on or whatever I'm listening to. Close your eyes, I'm gonna do a silent meditation under a tree. And then it's just like chaos in there, just noise, arguing, blaming, guilt, shaming, self-shaming, judging, the endless future projections of fantasies that'll never come true. And then you're like, oh, this meditating thing is not fun. I'm over it, right? I'll just microdose 6 times a day forever. Sorry, that's a Boulder joke. I live in Boulder. So when we go inwards to meditate and we get hit with that overthinking mind that wants to solve everything as a problem, including ourselves, what is it that we do? So the first thing is your attitude and your approach to the energy. So if there's this feeling of like, I'm not good enough, I have to fix myself, or the world is not good enough, I have to fix the world. Either direct, it's the same energy in either direction. It's either pointed towards you or towards the outer world. So that's another person, it's a whole country, it's a whole set of problems. It's either pointing outward or it's pointing inward, right? So it's going one of two directions. Doesn't matter, it's the same energy. So if you're like effing climate change, freaking politicians, right? All right, now it's pointing outwards. Like, I'm the worst. Why didn't I do better? I'm never going to be as good as this person. Now it's pointed inwards, but it's the same energy, right? I need to figure it out. Right? That angst, anxiety. So our attitude towards this energy is the most important thing. We want to almost kill it with kindness and compassion. So when it starts to make a lot of ruckus and noise, the first step is always just to find a sense of neutrality and space from it. So we really start meditating when our consciousness and the thoughts in our consciousness separate. So we separate those two things. When I read one of my first ever meditation books, that the teacher said, watch for the gaps in between your thoughts. And I was like, what? There are no gaps in between my thoughts. I just go one from one to the other, to the other, to the other. But there are gaps in between your thoughts. So you start with those little tiny gaps. Even if it's like, when you're walking on the sidewalk as a little kid and you're like, I'm not going to touch the cracks, I'm going to jump over each one. You just notice those cracks. Just notice that little gap in between two thoughts. And then you notice the next gap. It's almost like opening a book. And instead of, when you open a book, usually you just look at the words, right? Nobody's opening a book and going, wow, look at all that white space around the words. It's so nice. This book, I'm going to give it a great review. It brought me so much peace looking at the space in between the paragraphs and the words and the letters. But that's actually what we want to do when we start meditating, is to look at the space in between the paragraphs, the sentences, the words, the letters. So in between the principles, the concepts, the thoughts, the individual images, we want to start looking at the in-betweens of those. And that creates an initial like space where all of a sudden you're thinking a little bit less. So we want to focus on the space around the pictures in our mind, around the thoughts. So a thought has to exist in something, right? It exists in a space in your mind, and you need awareness to see that thought and to experience it. So the meditator brings, step one is the meditator brings their awareness back to that space around the thought. So usually when you have tunnel vision, I need to solve this freaking problem. There's no space, right? You feel like, and no space often is experienced as no time. I have no time. David, I have no time to meditate. I don't have time to have fun, right? It just goes on and on. So, but it's really about space, energetic space. So first you notice that space, and then we can get into the energy of, all right, maybe there's something in my unconscious that's bubbling to the surface over and over. It's looping around that needs my attention. But if we go right to that and try to solve it, we're just going to be in this almost energy of anxiety and problem solving survival. So I just wanted to lay that out before we go into meditation, and I'll walk us through it. Yeah. All right. Let's do this. All ready? I wish we had like meditation goggles or something just for fun, like everybody puts on their goggles. I went to this like many years ago when I was like, I can't remember, mid-20s. I went to a healing seminar, and the guy was selling these like medallions with dolphins on them, and they were like $200, and everyone bought one but me because I was poor. I was like a, 20, mid-20s. I didn't have any money. And but I just remember like, oh man, I guess you need a medallion with dolphins on it to meditate. Shoot. Should I do that? Should I sell little medallions with dolphins on them to everybody? Oh, that'd be great, huh? I want to make like 70 more jokes on top of that one. Um, in comedy class, we call them tags when you make a joke and then you keep adding to it, but I'll spare you. Actually, you can make, I'll let all of you tag that joke. So if you want to add a joke on top of that joke, you can, or mushrooms. Yeah. Okay. 3D glasses. Yeah, it could be a subscription. There we go. Oh my God, it's amazing. All right, take a deep breath. Let's jump into meditation. Oh, by the way, no, before we do, um, I pulled a tarot card. I don't read tarot cards. I don't know anything about them, but I pulled one because I like to. Sometimes it's fun. And I got completion, which I love because this is the last meditation school meditation of the year. Because next year, and next year I'm just going to be doing the teacher's training. So for me, there's completion there. So I like that. Maybe I don't know if you can see the word. There we go. Maybe there's some completion for you here too. I am teaching a group coaching class at the end of this month, but for meditation school, this is it. Yeah. Ah, all right. Cool. Someone wrote the extended version. What if I cut this meditation off like with 5 minutes to go and then you have to like buy the rest? You want to know how it ends? Oh my God, it's hilarious. It's too much. All right, I got to stop. All right, let's meditate, everybody. Okay, close your eyes, drop your shoulders away from your ears. Hopefully, some of that laughter got you to release some tension. Yeah. Somebody wrote, you need a promo code to get the last 5 minutes of the meditation. Oh, too much. Okay. Okay. On that note, just draw your awareness behind your eyes, drop your shoulders. Yeah. So I think when I sent out the reminder email, I put a quote in there which was don't just do something, sit there. I love that. Don't just do something, sit there. There was this Indian guru who I loved, whose name I'll butcher, Nisargadatta Maharaj. He sold little like beady cigarettes his whole life on the street for like 5 cents, and he went to a guru, and his guru gave him like one thing to focus on. He said, "That's all I did for 2 years. I focused on one sentence." He told me, and that's how I found my enlightenment. Sometimes it's just like one thing, you know. Just be relentless with one thing. And for a meditator, that one thing might be, who am I? Or what's my truth? What's the truth? Why am I here? What's the nature of reality? What's inner peace? What is enlightenment? What's underneath all this overthinking? And let's start to build the habit of not thinking together. So I want you to start to notice that, let's call it the gaps between the thoughts. You might also notice the space around the thoughts. And no matter how quote unquote good or bad the thought is, no matter how important it tells you it is, you just watch. Just notice the gap, notice the space. Our thoughts will always try to seduce us. But this is important. No, but this is important. As you become aware of these gaps, I want you to also be aware of your own awareness. I want you to notice you've got the objects of your awareness, which we'll call your thoughts. And then you have the subject, which is your awareness, your consciousness. See if you can just be aware of your awareness. Let the thoughts almost fade into the background. Just bring us back to that quote from earlier. Don't just do something, sit there. The most counterintuitive thing when you face that survival energy of I need to fix something, I have a problem to solve. I have to accomplish. I even have to be a good meditator. See if you can just surrender to not doing any of that. I want you to be the laziest, most relaxed, calm person in the world. And a great analogy for our awareness is a flame, like a candle flame. When it goes out, it's dark. And when it's lit, we can see. So let yourself just be that flame for a moment. You are that flame always, but I want you to just take a moment and be aware of it. This is the most important thing that exists, awareness. Without it, there's nothing. And if you get lost in thoughts, again, you just come back to the space and the gaps. And then I want you to notice something pretty special that every other person sitting meditating here in this space with us is another candle, another flame of awareness. Every person on earth, every being on earth. As is our star, the sun that heats our planet. It's nothing but a big flame. And then the trillions and infinite number of stars in the universe, all just flames, all just big candles. And we think they don't have any awareness, but my sense is they probably do. So we've got this universe full of empty space and candles. That's pretty much all of life. And so, as a human being, on the inside of you, you've got the same thing. You've got this deep well of darkness, of empty space, of unconsciousness. And you've got this flame in you that's starting to grow, this awareness that's getting brighter. And every time you become aware of something in that unconsciousness, every time that bubble rises to the surface, you look at that thought and then you lose yourself to it and you forget. You are this beautiful flame connected to infinite flames, infinite lights. And then everything becomes a problem that needs to be solved. So now, in this context, as you're aware, let the next thought, the next survival problem that needs to be solved, let it arise. Don't resist it. Don't fight it. And just shine some awareness onto it. And just take a look at it neutrally for a moment. And I want you to notice there's space around this quote unquote problem. Notice the space around the problem. Don't try to solve it. All I want you to do is give the problem space. Don't figure it out. And just let any awareness around it just come up. Might have some wisdom that just arises as you sit with it. Make sure you're breathing. You might notice the tendency and the pull to try to solve. And when that happens, I want you to just notice the space. You might have some kind of awareness like, wow, I've been hard on myself. Or my real problem is I care too much. Or it's time to be more honest. You might just have this kind of deep wisdom rise to the surface. An answer might flower. It might not be the ultimate answer, but it might be your next step. It'll likely be exactly what you need. And I want you to see if you can have a real deep sense of self compassion And as you sit here, maybe there's a layer or two of energy that just wants to kind of peel off of you. And as I said in the beginning, when you feel something, it may be already on its way out. So just let it move. You might feel something come out of your body, out of your head. Make sure that you're still breathing. If you trailed off in some way, just bring yourself back, bring your awareness behind your eyes into the center of your head. It's very easy to kind of float away. So if you did that, just really anchor yourself into this moment, into this body, knowing that you can face anything life puts in front of you. You may not be able to solve everything life puts in front of you, but internally, you can accept the reality that you're in. I want you to actually have some gratitude for this quote unquote problem that creates overthinking. It's very likely helping you deepen, it's likely helping you mature into the person you're meant to be. And even if you've made some big mistakes, even if you haven't gotten it all right, you're still starting maybe on a path of shifting or really deep on a path of shifting your energy and awareness. There's no growth in perfection. So it's probably going to be a little messy, and that's okay. You can kind of give a light bow to whatever this energy is, this problem, this overthinking energy. Honor it. It's not your enemy, it's very much your teacher. Thank it for being here and for teaching you. And then go ahead, take that problem, whatever that thought is, just put it inside of a beautiful flower. Just tuck it in the petals in the middle. And then just go ahead and just send it off into space. Just send it off into the stars. Let this energy go. Great work. Take a nice big deep breath. Release, relax. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Ooh, yeah. Great job, everyone. Um, because many of you came live, um, so much enthusiasm for this topic, I'm happy to stay for a few minutes and answer a few questions. Um, I hope that you have an amazing rest of your year here if you're watching this close to when it's live. I am going to put the recording on the Meditation School app so you can watch it there. And see if you can go through the holidays with some grace this time around the sun as much as you can, and not let the world just pull you in all the directions that it wants to pull you in. Just see if you can stay more grounded and present this time around. We're not going for perfection, we're going for progress. So see if you could just be with the energy and not match the freak out that some people go through during the holidays. So if you have a question, feel free to write it in the chat box. And if you want to ask it verbally, you can just raise your Zoom hand or raise your physical hand, and I'll see you and call on you. And then quick announcement, just one announcement, which is a meditation teacher training. It starts in February 8th. And that's what I'm going to be spending most of next year teaching. Okay. And if you have to go, have a wonderful evening. And I'll just read this first question, which is, how do I decrease my thinking without detaching from what's going on around, um, and being apathetic? Yeah, so there's definitely a difference between being aware of the gap, like we just worked on, and being aware that we're awareness, and being apathetic. Apathy is a vibration of I don't care. When we're really in this awareness of awakening, we care very much. You know, usually love, compassion start to flower in us. We want to shift. We want to help people heal. Some form of caring and service is going to flower out of you if if your consciousness is actually awakening. And so part of that awakening might be getting through layers of apathy or fear. I don't want to touch the world, right? So that might be part of your own healing journey, is to get through apathy. That's a layer of energy, just like fear, confusion, anger, greed, jealousy. All these are all just energies. Apathy is just like, I'm going to avoid, right? I'm just going to avoid the world. So if you feel apathy, you might go, what is it that I'm afraid of? What is it that I'm avoiding? And you could sit and meditate on that. We've all had apathy. We were all teenagers, right? I'm so surprised how effective this was. Great. Normally, I need to be fully guided. Yeah. I didn't want to fully guide you step by step in there. I wanted to give you plenty of space to just experience space. How would it be if I said experience space, but I didn't give you space, right? David, give me some space for the space, will you? Survival into softening. I should have named this class that, Sarah. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Any questions you could, a verbal question, you could put your hand up if you want, or just ask one. Um, you'd have to turn your camera on, obviously. Let's see. Is it Floor? Did I say it right? Let me unmute you. Oh, wait. Who is that? Who is that? Where are you? Where are you? Oh, I think you put your hand down. Okay. Oh, um, Did I miss somebody else's hand? Oh, Helen. Okay. Oh, you just have to unmute yourself, Helen.
Yeah. Thank you so much for this year. It's been wonderful. A
Oh,
big
you know what?
learning
My
curve
earbuds
for
aren't
me.
working. They're not connected. It's me. Sorry. I disconnected it while I was teaching, I guess. So you might have to type in your question. I apologize. Unless I can get them on in a moment. I don't know why they didn't connect. I'm in my silence. Okay. This should maybe work. There we go. All right, Helen, give me another try.
I just wanted to say thank you for this year. It's been amazing. I'm
You're
growing
welcome.
so much, and for which I'm grateful to you and to everyone in the school. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. So sweet.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you. Anyone else question? You can raise your hand. All good. I think the topic was pretty clear, right? Okay. Got your hand up. Go ahead, Katie.
I actually have not too good of a voice right now, but I was earlier today talking with one of my other teacher mentors, and we were talking about replacing the sort of like fear-based survival thoughts with with a mantra that has the intention of forgiving and releasing. And I wanted to know what you think about that, because sometimes I feel like that, as opposed to putting something in a flower, actually felt a lot more easier. Like it felt like it's just like, oh, I can just put this in the flower and send it away, rather than the mantra. Oh yeah, come back to the mantra. Come back. I don't, obviously it's whatever works.
Yeah.
But there's like almost kind of like an effort in the mantra, and I get how mantras can work. Or it's not even a mantra, but it's like you know, the Ho'oponopono or whatever, you know, like
It'd be a prayer. Yeah.
So, but there's like, can feel like a disconnect, like you're going from this extreme to this extreme, and it's like just trying to replace it. So how do you actually get behind that energy? And like, does it just happen, or what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think mantras could be kind of a double-edged sword, which is one, they could get you, if you repeat the same thing over and over, it gives you a focus on one point, so it kind of removes all the other thoughts. So it makes people feel better. That happens in religion too, right? With a prayer, it's just you keep having the same thought, you keep saying the same word over and over, and that kind of gives you one point of focus. But then my question to you would be, what happens when you stop the mantra? Everything floods back in usually, right? And then we have to still deal with it. So I think it's kind of on the beginning of a meditation journey, it could be helpful. But I don't think replacing one thought with another thought solves the issue of being lost in our thoughts. You're just replacing a mediocre thought with a good thought, which is nice, but it's still a thought, and it's a repetitive one, right? So it never really landed with me. When I lived in India, they chant a lot of mantras, and especially like Hari Ram, Hari Krishna, Ram Ram Krishna Hari. It's the same thing over and over. I remember having to sit in a room for 3 straight hours where they just chanted that over and over. I was like, oh my God. And to me, it was a feeling of like trying to erase the pain, like push it away. Just this is what's real. God is real. Jesus is real. Krishna is real. Manifestation, you know, and then you just get yourself hyped into that energy. I don't know. It just never worked for me. I'd rather just deal with the reality of what's inside me, and, and just look at it. So if you're trying so hard to get something away and something towards you and something else away from you, then usually there's a kind of resistance, right? In Buddhism, they do it too. They'll do these prostrations, like thousands of them. It's almost like a physical mantra. They'll go on the floor and get up over and over. In Islam, they do it too. It's very useful. It feels good. But the level of depth that kind of this meditation was going to take you in, the mantra can't take you there, because is still on the level of thinking to try to solve something. That would be my 2 cents. I'm going to probably get a lot of tomatoes thrown at me for that one. I'm sure all the TM meditators are just, it's not bad. It's great. If the mantra works, use it. Just for what we're doing, it won't, it's not going to take you into silence, right? Thanks for that question. Yeah. And if somebody else gives you the mantra, Katie, then is it even yours? Like, hey, this is what you should think. It's just another form of, hey, this is what you should feel, right? It's a good one. That's how we get into cults. But this feels good. Just do this one. So I would say if the prayer or the mantra comes from within you, like if it feels really true and it works for a while, then you can let it go. I think that's great. But if you hold on to it like a lifeline and you're like, I need it, then it can become a crutch, Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. One or two more questions here. Overthinking and distraction seem to be cousins. Yeah, for sure. Overthinking itself can be a distraction, Um, yeah. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the space. Where can we get the recordings of these? So all like hundreds of hours of my teachings are on the Meditation School app. Or if you don't have Apple, you can get it just through your desktop. Yeah. I don't have that Android anymore right now. We gotta build it out. We'll get there. Thank you. Anybody else question if you want to raise your hand or anything you want to share about that experience? Otherwise, I'll just finish with one more piece and then we can go have a wonderful evening. So maybe a little like life work, homework. See if you can sit in meditation in these coming weeks and just watch the gaps. Just watch the gaps between your thoughts. Watch the gaps between the problems. Watch the space that the thoughts come in and out of. And just hang out there for a while. That's all. And just see what happens. And the weird thing that's going to happen to you, I can mind the gap exactly. I can almost guarantee you, the more you do that, well, two things will happen. One, the external world will start to try to pull harder. So, oh, you're not taking that bait. How about this bait? Right? Oh, so that problem's not big enough. Let's do this problem. So it might manifest externally where the world will try to pull you, and it'll manifest internally where your thoughts will try in a more subtle way. So, oh, she's not responding to the money problem thoughts. How about, oh, this is a really spiritual experience thoughts. Oh, yeah, I should write this down because this is like a really spiritual experience. Oh, I should think about this more. So it's like running water. It'll go anywhere there's a gap. So the thoughts will seduce you and it'll get more and more subtle the better you get at this. So just be aware of that on the inside and how the outside might try to pull you as well. And if those two things happen, that means you're making progress. Yeah. Yeah. If someone's like, stop being so peaceful, you don't care about the world, that means you're making progress. And the more you do that, the more people are going to want your attention and your energy. That means you're making progress. They're going to want to take it from you. They're going to want to pull it from you. They'll give you anything for it. They'll do anything for it except sit still themselves and heal themselves. They will put you on a pedestal. They will tear you down. They will pay you money. They will try to become you. Anything except actually do the work themselves. If that starts to happen to you, you're making progress. So with that, happy holidays. You could unmute and say bye. Thank you so much for hanging out with me.